Welcome back. It is now day 20 of the 21-day challenge. And again, the 21-day challenge, all it is we are going to try the keto diet for 21 days to see if we can do it. If we lost weight, did we get any benefits from it? 21 days is usually what starts a habit or breaks a habit. So that's kind of why I stuck with 21 days. Again, usually doing a month of keto is when you start seeing the benefits. It's kind of like anything. You've got to do it for about a month or so before you really start seeing the benefits. Again, keto, you lose a lot of weight right off the bat, and then you're slowly chipping away at fat. You're not just losing weight, you're losing fat, which is great. Also, you should be less tired. That's the biggest thing with this diet that I think a lot of people benefit from, is being less tired. And I hope that you're less tired. I hope you feel better, number one, and I also hope you're losing weight. But anyway, let's get into today, and that is, we started with the gym, and then I had a keto coffee just shortly after I got back. I boiled some eggs, so about an hour and a half after I had that keto coffee, I had 2 boiled eggs. I had some berries, which I don't eat berries very much, but we bought them for the kids, and I figured I might as well have a little bit. I had 6 blackberries and about 8 blueberries. You can have berries on this diet. You can have fruit if you can afford it in your macros. And we're going to get back to macros here in just a minute as far as carbohydrates go, but those don't contain near as much sugar as like an orange or a banana or, pineapple. Like, I'm pretty sure pineapple is the worst fruit out of all of them when it comes to how much sugar is in it. But again, that's what we had for breakfast. It was definitely different than I normally have. I was just trying to change it up just to give you an idea. Nothing is set in stone. Do what you feel you want to do. You could have made those little pancake things I did the day before or so and had some blueberries with it. Anyway, for lunch, I had some leftover keto chili, which I did about a serving and a half of. And then I had 2 cheese sticks in there and 2 pieces of celery. That actually went together really good. And I'll be honest with you, I think the keto chili was even better the second day. Like most things go when you're like making salsa or chili or any of those soups and stuff, it seems like they're always better the next day. I did check my blood ketones shortly after I ate, and they were at 4.1 or 4.0. As you can see there, I have never had them that high. I think 3.8 is the highest I've ever been on that. But I did get some more ketone strips so we can start doing our testing. That'll be a week from Thursday or so. I want to be at least had done this diet for 30 days before I do any kind of testing. That way I feel like my body's going to treat it correctly. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but it's just, I don't have to wait that long, but I'm going to. So if you have requests for things you want me to test, you need to start asking now, because I've kind of got a list going, and I'll just keep marking off the list until we're done with it. For dinner, I couldn't really afford any carbs because my carbs were already at like 26 grams, which we got that from, eating the blueberries. I think the keto chili actually had like 12 grams. That's the thing about, watching your macros. That way you know better. So if I had just totaled everything up at the end of the day, I would have probably been over on my carbs for sure. And I feel like anytime that I go over on my carbs, I definitely feel it. And I'm not talking about net carbs. I'm talking about total carbs. But I had 6 ounces of that pork tenderloin, as you can see in this little package here. It was really good. I'm definitely going to buy that again. But remember, with pork, it's going to be high in protein and low in fat. So you need to make up for it. I looked at the macros again for today, and I looked like I needed to bump a few things up, so I went ahead and had my hot chocolate or hot keto drink or fat drink, whatever you want to call it. I had a perfect keto, 1 scoop of that, and then I did 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 tablespoon of heavy whipping cream, and 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. And my macros ended up looking really well. I'm happy with the way they came out. My carbohydrates could have been lower, but let's just go through the list here. So protein was at 100 grams. Carbohydrates were at 29 grams, and my fat was at 160 grams. And that's going to leave us with percentages of carbohydrates at 6%, fat at 74%, and protein at 20%. Those are decent numbers. I'm not upset with those at all. Again, I'm glad that I checked. That way I didn't mess up, the macro restriction that I'm doing right now. Again, you do not have to do this macro restriction. I cannot say it enough. I'm just doing this simply just to see what it does for me. And I think that's what you should do too, is just kind of, do a week with you getting 2,500 and then do a week with you getting around 1,800 and just see, do you feel better? I mean, I'm sure you're going to lose weight if you have, 1,800 and you're active. But again, just you need to see, how do you feel? If you feel better at higher calories, then be higher on calories. I'm not sure if I said carbohydrates or what, but again, we're talking about calories. That was the main restriction on this diet, was the calories, just trying to stay under 2,000. We actually ended at 1,919, which is right where we wanted to be. All of our numbers are actually right where we wanted to be. However, I don't typically like having dinner and just having meat on my plate. I think I've done that a couple of times in the last couple days or so. And I don't enjoy that. I like having a salad with my dinner. It's something I usually do, and I'm sure you've seen it in my videos more than once, but I try to have a salad with, with like some kind of meat, and that's my dinner. I know it gets boring. Keto does get boring. I get it. I totally get it. And like some of the foods, you might get tired of eating those foods. That's why you got to figure out other things. Then you can start getting into the Pinterest stuff and really making really awesome meals that are probably super tasty. But again, you're going to put a bunch of work into it. So the easier you make this on yourself, the better off it'll be. And I think a huge thing that I gained from keto is it helps me not overeat. I'm sorry. It helps me not overeat. And that is the biggest thing for me. Like, I could easily go all day long without eating. No problem. I definitely could, but I know I don't need to, because that's not going to be healthy for me. I know fasting is a thing, intermittent fasting, all that. I don't like doing intermittent fasting specifically because I feel like once I have my first meal after like the 15, 16 hour fast, I tend to be hungrier and I eat more. So it's kind of detrimental to me. And when I get hungry, when I have the feeling of being hungry, that's when I feel like I'm going to cheat. So, you need to weigh your options there as far as, if you're going to do intermittent fasting, or if you're going to do any kind of fasting or eating for that matter, you should be eating less. You should notice that you're not as hungry. You should notice that as you're eating the meal, you start feeling full and you're not even halfway into it. That is what keto is supposed to do. You are supposed to start limiting how much you eat, because we all overeat. I promise you. If you eat a Big Mac from McDonald's with a thing of fries and a soda, if you look at the macros of what you just had, I think it would be shocking, especially if you just started tracking macros. If you just started tracking, you would see a huge difference. I mean, I remember picking up a honey bun once with the icing on it and just looked at the macros because I was, just curious. I could not believe how bad it was. There's no kidding how many times I've ate 2 or 3 of those in one day with chocolate milk and maybe some other stuff, because I have an eating problem, and I will just, the more I eat, the hungrier I get. So if I eat 1 bowl of cereal, I'm liable to eat 3 or 4. So that's why keto is the thing for me, because it helps me stop eating. Like, I'm not hungry, and that's good. That's what I need to be, because we should not live to eat. We should eat to live. And the foods that you're eating is what's going to allow you to live longer and have a healthier life. So you really need to think about that. And maybe that's what keto needs to be for you, is do it for like 3 to 6 months, get healthy, and then just start, change into a different diet, like a standard American diet or something, and just watch the foods you eat, because, you may have cured your hunger problems, because we all overeat. You probably overate at least once in the last 7 days. You just didn't realize it, right? Am I right? So anyway, I'm going to leave you on that note. Tomorrow is the last day. I'll try to come up with something to talk about. But again, that'll be a Wednesday that I release the 21st video on. And then the Thursday following, it'll be a follow-up, because I want to weigh myself first thing Thursday morning. But anyway, I've rambled enough. I will ramble to you tomorrow. Until then, keep it keto.